Pauline Hanson says, One Nation victim of political attack by Al Jazeera and ABC. Well, that's partially correct. It was actually an attack by all of the media. And something needed to have happened before that could take place. So we'll just have a quick look at that. We need to go back to 2007, and this person, Helen Coonan, or the Honourable Mrs. Helen Coonan, although she's about to see that probably isn't that applicable. So who was she? She was a Liberal senator and minister, and more importantly, she was a Minister for Communications back in 2007. So what was Coonan's main achievement, especially in relation to what happened to Pauline Hanson? Well, her portfolio covered the Broadcast Services Act of 1992. And the major objective of the Act, one of the major objectives, was to ensure Australians had effective control of influential media. And one of the objects of the Act, as you look down number D, to ensure Australians have effective control of the more influential broadcast services. So there was a known threat that if people outside of Australia got hold of control of the media, that would be bad for Australians. And the fact that the objects of this Act that was included confirms that to be the case. And this was section 57 and 58. Now, 57, foreign persons not to be in position to control commercial television broadcasting licence. So that was in this Act. Now, in 2007, Ms. Coonan, she removed those sections, and here's just part of the document that she introduced into Parliament to justify, and she's got foreign ownership and control. Removal of all media-specific foreign ownership and control limits is consistent with the BSA's objective. Well, it wasn't. The objective was to control make sure that outside influences that Australians had control of their media. Now, she says here, the repeal of the restrictions will achieve this by improving access to capital, which means they get more money. And she bangs on a lot about, compliance costs will be reduced. Yeah, because you don't have to monitor make sure that international people don't own the media. So you can see where this ends up. So not once does she mention the object of the Act for Australians to maintain effective control and how that has been overcome. Well, that's no longer a problem. Here are the reasons, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's remove it. Now, she removes it based on increased capital. And if we look here, it jumps from C to E. The object of the Act, it's no longer there. This is the updated version. That was an earlier version I showed you. Now it's no longer there. And, of course, this section of the Act is no longer there anymore. It's been repealed. So there was now no restrictions on international corporations or anybody, international influence of our media, because she didn't say it, but and it's because she didn't say it because it's not true that the international controls were no longer a problem. They were a problem, and they exist today. Hence, how the Pauline Hanson saga managed to come across through all of the media, not just the ABC and Al Jazeera. All of the media are controlled by the international people. The ABC through our politicians, and as you're about to find out, the ownership of our media, which I will show in a second. Just on Ms. Coonan, you might think, well, what was in it for her? Okay, post-parliamentary career. Coonan was appointed some director of Crown then. She is also a member of the Advisory Council of investment bank JP Morgan. I would say that would be a very well remunerated position, a member of the Advisory Council. Not too specific, but these are the rewards that these people get. Now, of course, she was only the communications minister. Obviously, John Howard, he would have had to have been in on it, as well as the other senior libs. But she was the one, it was her portfolio, and this was her reward for allowing the international corporations, as you're about to find out, control, or ownership, and now control. So you wonder why we hear no news, nothing relevant, nothing important, or all we hear about is hoaxes and car crashes and fires. It's that they are now in a position, they own our media, as I'm about to show, where they can stop us from seeing the truth. And that's what the whole reason why Helen Coonan repealed those sections of this act, and the people that put that section in, they knew, it's still relevant today, she removed it. That's why we've got the totally controlled script readers and Georgie Gardner living in a $6 million mansion. Well, that's just one. All of these people. Now, remember they said the increased capital that would be coming into the media? Yeah, it's to buy off the all of these supposed journalists. They're no longer journalists anymore. They're just script readers. So now let's have a look at what the current ownership status of our media companies is. So Helen Coonan got rid of the section of the Act that prevented international corporations, and as you're about to find out, banks from owning Australian media. But they didn't want to just control some of the media. They needed to control all of it as one. Hence, this is another important milestone, September 2017. Government's media ownership laws changes past Senate with help from Nick Xenophon and One Nation. Gee, I bet you they should go back in time and change that, because that's why they're in the trouble they're in. So it scraps restrictions such as the 2 out of 3 rule, which stops companies from owning newspaper and television stations in the same city. So they need to own everything. That's why Malcolm Turnbull got rid of TVS. They do not want one media outlet broadcasting anything that these international banks and corporations don't approve of. Everything needs to either promote their agenda or at least not oppose it. It says these changes will abolish the reach rule, which prevented a single TV broadcaster from reaching more than 7. So now they can buy up Channel 7, 9 and 10 and own 3 of them, and they would have breached the 75% reach rule, but now they don't. And as we can see here, this was in September 2017, and we look here, December 2018, not that long ago. Nine Entertainment, which you're about to find out is partly owned by Goldman Sachs and a few others, they've merged with Fairfax Media. So that's what this was all about. So Helen Coonan was the first part of it, allowing international corporations in, and now this was a second part that allowed them to own all and control every single syllable or word written in any media outlet, which is what they do, as we can see by the fact you watch any news or read a newspaper and you're left with nothing. You don't feel like, it's like eating something made of air. There's just nothing there at the end of it, and that's exactly what they want. So the last part 3, is I went to the Australian Communication Media Authority's website, and they have a register of foreign stakeholders of Australian media. And this next part is just an extract from that. Now, this was a month ago. Now, I'm going to do a video shortly about some changes to that. Well, here's another interesting foreign stakeholder, Deutsche Bank. Okay, they own 11.06% of Channel 9. Again, they're a huge bank, even though they only own a small percentage because they're so big compared to perhaps some of the other shareholders, although they all appear to be foreign as well. So, does that really matter? Darwin Digital Television, Fairfax Media. Deutsche Bank owns Fairfax Media. Fairfax Media just bought some media assets over in New Zealand just before that shooting happened. I'll do a video on that. Fairfax Regional Media, General Television Corporation, Nine Network, 11%, 6% of Harbour Radio. Illawarra Newspaper, the Illawarra Mercury. Deutsche Bank owns the Illawarra Mercury way down in Wollongong. How do they even know Wollongong exists, or the Illawarra Mercury? How is our media coming to the attention of these huge multinational corporations, and why do they care? Just that profits couldn't be that great that they all want to invest in the media, as I've mentioned probably a few times now. They buy it to put the politicians they need into power. Okay, I'm not going to keep going with Deutsche Bank. All right. Okay, let's have a look at. Why don't we go for Goldman Sachs? I like Goldman Sachs. Goldman. Let's have a look. Goldman Sachs Group, Channel 9. Oh, they only own 3.188%. Wow. Yeah. I think they might have a bit more influence than 3.188%. And even says the fractional tracing method was applied to determine the percentage. So they don't actually really know. So they own TV stations in Adelaide, Melbourne, NBN, Northern New South Wales, that's Newcastle, Brisbane, Swan, Perth, TC9 in Sydney. Who would have thought? That's Georgie Gardner and Deb Knight's bosses. And Territory Television, yeah. And okay, so they don't own that much, mainly television. Foreign stakeholder, the Herald and Weekly Times. Now, it says a person, not a company. If you look over here, the person is a person which foreign persons hold company interest. So even though this might be an Australian company, a foreign person owns it. The Herald and Weekly Times. Anyway, look, there you go. So we've done Deutsche Bank and Goldman Sachs and a few others. And what I'm going to look at here, I'm going to go right to the top. Now, what this is the foreign stakeholder results. ACMA hold a foreign stakeholder register, and this is it. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Just look over here at the right-hand side at this thing here. Now, I'm just going to start scrolling, and you watch how slowly it goes for how many entities that are. See, Chesterland, I don't know who they are. I think they're based in the United States. There's a place called Chesterland. They own 100% of the Gold Coast Bulletin, as you would. Chesterland. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. So I'm just going to scroll down. So you can see all these entities going past. So now there's multiple entries obviously for Channel 9 because different foreign media companies own them. But as we know, over in the States, there's only 6 companies own all of the media over there. So even though it looks like there's a lot of different foreign owners, each of those foreign companies is owned by probably the same people across the boards and everything. So I'm still going. Look over the right-hand side. Okay, this just keeps going and going and going. I'm not going to go through the whole register. You had to click a few things that you agreed to. I couldn't put it up on the internet. I might be in some trouble. I'll run back and check that agreement before I put this up. But anyway, this is it. This is the foreign register. Maybe you're not allowed to publish it. I'm not publishing it. I'm just showing bits of it. Okay, so we're not even a third of the way down. All right, I'm going to stop that now. All right, that's it for this one.